How's it, guys? How you doing? We are back for another Rebel Short. This time we are at Bounty Brands with PJ, the head of Reebok South Africa, to talk about all things Reebok.
Cool.
PJ, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome to Reebok.
Yeah.
And thanks for the opportunity.
Good to have you with us finally. I think we've been trying
We have been.
button down a
100%,
Reebok podcast for a long time. I think really cool to be here.
Awesome.
We're in your showroom in Cape Town. Really cool to see everything that's coming and all the exciting stuff
100%.
that you've got in store for us.
100%.
I think it's. I always get excited when we talk about Reebok, or we think about Reebok, because I think it's so entrenched in the South African CrossFit community, functional fitness community, internationally. I mean, tell us a little bit about the history and the story and you know how it's grown.
Yeah, so Tom, I joined the Reebok brand in 2015. I think at that stage, the Reebok and CrossFit partnership was 5 years old. So Reebok and CrossFit announced the partnership in 2010, and then I think in 2011 they released the first sort of co-branded line of product. I joined 2015. So the partnership was very much established at that stage. But the history of how it all came about is in 2005. The previous Reebok owner bought the Reebok brand from an American gentleman called Paul Fireman, I think. And it was at that point or shortly after Reebok kind of got ring-fenced into this training and fitness space. Previous owner bought the brand to get after the American market, but what happened was the Reebok brand was kind of strong in ice hockey, NFL, basketball, and they swapped, the Reebok platforms and touch points out with the other brand, and it really fell flat. And I think at that stage, the previous owner realized that Reebok's potentially a competitor within the team sport spaces, and then ring-fenced the Reebok brand into this fitness space, and I think largely to protect its own interests and business, which is all good and well, and I think any savvy business person would have done the same thing. But I think it was a good thing for the brand in terms of building credibility in the training space and in the CrossFit space. And I think the two brands grew together over a period of time. And the partnership was so strong in the eyes of the consumer or the CrossFit community that a lot of people associated the Reebok Delta, which was our logo, with CrossFit, and even some people would still think that that's a CrossFit logo. So that's how strong the partnership was. But I think a fantastic partnership for Reebok in that it authenticated us as a training brand and gave us credibility in that space. We're no longer official partners, but the Reebok brand continues to engage with the CrossFit community and continues to consult the CrossFit community when it comes to product creation. And we're still creating product in all shapes and forms for the CrossFit community, footwear and apparel. So although not an official partnership, the relationship is still very much there with the CrossFit community. Don't quote me, and I don't know how credible this is, but I did hear that there is a conversation happening again between Reebok and CrossFit. I don't know what will come of it, there's some talks happening at the moment.
I think that's really exciting to hear.
Yeah.
But I think it's also, it's very hard to pull those brands apart. I mean, they grew so fast and so well together. Reebok were really the first brand to build the purpose-built CrossFit footwear, and that started with the Nano franchise that has just grown stronger and stronger and stronger. We're on 15 now.
15,
Yeah. X5,
So,
and the history behind that and the growth is phenomenal.
100%.
And when we train in nanos.
You can't get away from it. You go into CrossFit boxes around the country. I still find at least 50% of the classes is wearing nanos, in whether it's the X2 or the X3 or the X5. There's still a very strong affiliation for Reebok and Nano within the CrossFit spaces. For the Reebok brand, of course, our objective going forward is to reach more consumers with the Nano franchise outside of the CrossFit environment, because yes, I mean, CrossFit's quite big in South Africa. It's still growing and all of that, but in many markets it's still quite niche. So we do want to take our Nano offering beyond the CrossFit environment. So we are introducing things like the Nano Gym, which is a little bit more accessible, a little bit more versatile, in that you can run maybe a 5K or do some treadmill running in it, but then still do a decent squat in it as well. So the Nano franchise has built up a lot of credibility thanks to CrossFit. And our objective is obviously to continue servicing the CrossFit community and collaborating with the CrossFit community and creating experiences with the CrossFit community. But that credibility that we've garnered in that space, we want to take beyond CrossFit and reach more consumers in the functional training space, etc. So, yeah,
I think it's testament to the brand and to, like, it's that OG CrossFit shoe and CrossFit footwear, and it's developed throughout and definitely become a more versatile shoe in the space. I mean, there's a number of shoes, but nothing's really hit the mark for functional training inside and outside the gym as the Nano. And I think there's been some hits and some misses.
There have been,
but I think moving forward, the developments, it feels like Reebok's listening to the community 100%. And they're delivering on what the community needs.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because if you think back to Nano in the early days, it actually was nasty looking. Aesthetically, it wasn't very pleasing on the eye. And over time, I think Reebok started to realize, and probably taking cues from Nike in terms of aesthetics and like that appeal outside of the gym. It's now cool enough to wear with a pair of shorts around the bri, or going out in, because in the early days, honestly, the Nano wasn't very, very attractive. We always delivered on a functionality and a tech perspective, but I think the team have done a lot of work in making it look cool as well, popping colors and a little bit more sleeker, that you can wear with the shorts. You can even wear with a pair of jeans if you want to. But it's been a journey. I've been involved in, it's Nano 15, so my first Nano launch was the Nano 7, and that was back, I think, in 2016, don't quote me, but I think I've been involved in at least half of the Nano iterations that have been put out. So I've seen the evolution. Aesthetically, the functionality has always been there, but what's been most pleasing for me is the evolution aesthetically. It's looking cool, it's looking sleek, which is great, and I think in that way we'll reach more consumers outside of the CrossFit environment as well.
I think that does make a difference. You want it to look cool and you want it to look good, but it also needs to feel good on your foot. And when you want to be confident, and I think that's a big thing. I mean, we still on the competition floor today are seeing guys like max out lifts in Nanos, and I think that's what's really cool. A lot of the OG guys are still training in that old school Nano 2. Real simple footwear, but it's always done the job. And I think you guys have done a phenomenal job with the X5. That for me is magic.
Maybe talk to it a little bit if you want. Just to talk a little bit about the shoe. I think one of the better feedback points we're getting at the moment on the X5 is the wider toe box. It's also got this dual density foam. It's a little bit softer and more responsive in the forefoot, so box jumps and short sprints and running is a little bit easier, and then a bit more denser foam in the heel, so providing that stability in the heel for squatting and box jumps, etc. Also the meta split for sort of lateral movements and side-to-side movements, also easier for running and box jumping. So, yeah, very good feedback so far on the X5. Sell-through has been really encouraging. We've been it's a month since we've launched, and we're very happy with the way things are ticking over. But yeah, aesthetically, again, I think for me, it's just moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good looking shoe. I feel like almost going back to the legacy of the sort of the Nano 2-ish a little bit, and that wider toe box and that feel. And it's just zhuzhed it up and made it look better and really feel better. And I think that's the key is the Nano always hits on the performance points as well.
First and foremost.
So that looks good, but it feels really good.
100%. And I think Reebok's always pushed the boundaries in that tech space, and making sure that we're delivering functionally first and foremost. And I think also consulting with the CrossFit community in development of functional training product has been a game changer for the brand. When we were partners, that was the norm. The CrossFit community would be very much part of the development of any functional training product, whether it be footwear or apparel. And I think that really changed the game for the brand in terms of delivering for athletes.
And I think it's testament. We talk about testing and product development and that sort of stuff, and you guys, from the early days, I think Rich Froning's always been part of that, and I think it just stands testament. If we look at a lot of the guys have jumped ship and moved to different brands, but Rich has always been like part of that Reebok development. Every year there's a Froning, Reebok Nano Froning, which is really cool. Stripped back, it just ties into that performance and how good that footwear is, that someone like Rich Froning, who himself is a brand,
Correct,
has stuck together with Reebok.
Still today, the best marketing tool is advocacy. It's credible advocacy. So partnerships for the Reebok brand have been very, very important in terms of penetrating markets or consumers, or just building credibility in a athlete like Rich Froning. And his heritage and track record speaks for itself. So you'll find going forward that relationships like that for a brand like Reebok will remain important, just to drive the credibility and the influence of products or product direction.
So I suppose it's also, it's testament, but Rich won all of those titles, and he did it with Reebok. You guys were designing the footwear and making sure you were putting that on his feet and ensuring it was top level, and there was nothing better in the market than what he was wearing.
Yeah, exactly. And that that association still is influencing consumers' purchase decisions today. So as I say, those partnerships are very important from a credibility perspective and a growth perspective for a brand like Reebok, who might not have the major and big budgets like some of the other brands, but can still leverage the credibility of partners to gain market share.
And the future for Reebok is still, you're still driving in that fitness direction, and that's a really important component of
training and CrossFit and functional training or studio training is where the brand has built its credibility in sport. If you think back to the 80s, the high-waisted leotards and leg warmers and the studio training, Reebok was there, Reebok was first. And similarly in the functional training space. So that is our home court. That is the space that we own, the space that we are the most credible in as a sports brand. But we are returning to sport, which is a very exciting time for the brand. We were taken out of team sport in the 2000s and then just sort of focused on this CrossFit space and training space. But under new ownership, I'm very excited to say we're returning to sport, and that means all sports, team sports, golf, football, soccer, rugby, you name it, we're getting back onto the field, which is a very, very exciting prospect for the brand. And not to say that we're going to neglect our training category, our CrossFit community, because training is the starting point for all sports, right?
Yeah.
So we will continue to invest in those spaces, continue to build our credibility and our status around that, but we are returning to sport as early as 2025 through basketball in the US and Europe and Australasia. Basketball maybe not a major focus category for us here, but obviously globally and in the US it's huge. But then we get back into soccer as early as the first half of next year, which is very, very exciting for us locally.
Cool. I mean, that's really exciting, and it speaks to a brand. And I think Reebok's such a strong brand in that functional community.
Yeah.
And it's, as you say, the base for everything is training.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of people training in the gym day in and day out, and then playing football on the weekends or swinging a golf club. And,
Correct.
you know, it's cool to have that throughput and that follow through
100%.
of the brand.
And as I said earlier as well, that Nano franchise, that Nano name carries so much credibility within the CrossFit space and the training space. You know, we're moving it into using the franchise name, putting the franchise name into other categories like the Nano Court, the Nano Gym, Nano Court for paddle and tennis, and just that Nano naming convention has been such a big driver for our court business. You know, we launched the Nano Court in July last year. It was the best performing launch we've done to date.
Oh, wow.
And we've never showed up on the court for years or whatever, but it was the Nano Court, and I think that association and credibility attached to the Nano Court, or the court shoe, having the Nano name brand, drove a lot of credibility for the model itself. So, yeah, exciting time.
Very cool. I see you've got we've got some other footwear on the table that I'd like to talk about. Maybe, you know, this is the Nano Zero, something interesting that we haven't seen on shelves.
It's again leveraging that Nano naming convention and leveraging it in other sporting categories and other iterations of training shoes. So the Nano Zero speaks for itself. It's your barefoot training shoe. To be honest, I don't know a hell of a lot about it. I haven't trained in it yet. It's launching for the first time in Q4 this year. All of our training buyers that have been through the showing for sell-ins have been very excited about it. And again, it's carrying that Nano credibility, that Reebok credibility. So I think there'll definitely be some interest in it. How it performs, I think time will tell.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting throwback to, I suppose, the old school OG feel. I mean, there was a lot of advocacy for barefoot training.
Correct,
And I mean,
correct.
Vibram was around. Innovate did Innovate probably the original barefoot shoe
Yeah.
in the community. So it is really exciting. I know when we did the buy-in, everyone in the office was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, Zeros,
Yeah.
we're so excited. So
Yeah.
it does seem that there is a bit of resurgence coming back and advocating for, I suppose, foot health and that sort of thing
100%.
with the Zero,
Yeah.
which is cool.
100%.
And I think it's really exciting to see it expanding that way.
Yeah, I mean, still today you'll see guys taking off their training shoes to do a squat in the gym. So there's definitely a market for this type of product. And yeah, as I said, time will tell to see how it performs. But yeah, I think it's got all the Reebok tech and bells and whistles, so it should be a good one for us.
Awesome. And then you briefly touched on it before, the Nano Gym. I mean, this is something that is a bit more conventional to what we normally see. But do you want to talk us through this and where this fits into the franchise?
Again, aesthetically, this is a cool looking shoe.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd wear this with a pair of shorts or jeans and go out in it, to be honest. But again, functionally, we've got the flex grooves, bit of a more sort of a bigger heel to toe drop, so suited for running. But the flex grooves also assist with lateral movements for squatting. Box jumps gives you a bit of stability, a breathable upper, and a sweeter price point as well, and a more affordable access point to the Nano franchise. It's at 1,999 versus at 2,899.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're not willing to fork out $3,000 for a pair of training shoes, this is a really good option at under $2,000.
And I think like that shoe looks like it would fit into the studio a bit better. Some more studio training.
More studio
Maybe
training.
I mean the buzzword in Johannesburg right now is the high rocks, yeah, and hybrid
and hybrid and high rocks.
Okay,
yes,
so
yes.
you know, is that something that would fit in good for running?
Absolutely.
Like you running.
You could definitely treadmill running. You could easily do a 5K in here. It's great for short sprints. It's a great versatile running training shoe. That's what it is. You know, you can do short runs in them. You can do a decent squat in them and be stable in your squat. Great for lateral movement. But yeah, just a good versatile option.
Really cool. And then I see we've got the Nano, the legacy lifters on the table.
Lifters,
I mean, this is a stable. I feel like it doesn't necessarily change much, but
yeah,
it's just sexier. It's like you don't really need to buy a new pair of lifters, but you want to.
You do, and you know what CrossFitters are like as well. They like the latest and the greatest and the newest colors and so on. So, bit bold here with the color options in this lime green and Lumo pink. But yeah, again, functionally the shoe is delivered. It's got the pump technology as well. Going forward, we're going to be dropping the pump technology in the legacy lifter, so it'll just be a regular tongue. But yeah, again, a staple for anybody who's serious about lifting.
Yeah.
Does make a massive difference. I've started using mine again, and it does give you that little edge, even if it's just psychological. It does give you the edge, but it also delivers functionally, very stable, and yeah, also looks cool.
Oh, you got to look sexy when you're lifting. You want to hit that PB and put it on Insta.
Exactly.
It's got to look good.
Exactly.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, your training, CrossFit.
Sure.
CrossFit Open. What's the?
I've had a good start to the year when it comes to training. Obviously, like in our industry, Q4 is always, chaos. It's retail. It's a time where you make the most money in your year, so it's busy. So Q4, usually my training dips, and that's very irregular. And then you get December and Christmas and New Year, and eating and drinking is intensified. So I've started to get back into a proper routine now. I think I'm going 22 days straight of training and no breaks. So that's quite lekker. Nice to be back in a rhythm. And I'll definitely do the open for gears. Won't be trying to break any records, more about the vibes. And that's what I love about the CrossFit space as well, is just that Saturday morning gears in the box and pushing your mates and your peers. And my wife trains with me now as well, so that's also quite fun. But yeah, training is part of my life. It's what I do. It's like eating and drinking and sleeping. It's just who I am, and if I don't train for 2 or 3 days, I'm a different animal. I'm a miserable animal. So the physical benefits, I think, is a bonus. It's more for mental health than anything else.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Yeah.
It's good to be in an industry where we value health and fitness so highly.
Yeah.
So it does make it easier for us to get those sessions in and make sure we're part of the community that we service.
Exactly. I can always justify a lunchtime session at Motley because it's work.
Yeah, simple.
It's work. I'm going to see Motley. It's so.
Tell us a little bit about your staples, your favorites. What do you have on your feet? What are you wearing?
Okay. I'm wearing the Nano Pro in the gym.
Okay.
It hasn't been released yet.
Okay.
Will probably be released in the second half of next year.
Okay.
Potentially earlier. But what it is, it's a Nano on steroids. It's got a carbon plate.
Nice.
I'm fortunately sample size, so I've got the sample that I've been training in for the last 6, 7, 8 months, and yes, it's phenomenal. That carbon plate. I haven't run in a carbon plate running shoe before,
Yeah.
but I've managed to train in this for the last 8 months, and it's been phenomenal. I honestly I think it'll probably be banned for competitions because of the carbon plate.
You think it's that good?
I think it's that good. It makes a huge difference with box jumps and short sprints. You run in a carbon plate, I think, and you know what the benefits of that is. But so I've been fortunate enough to be training in that. I've had 1 or 2 sessions in the X5, which I'm loving as well. Float Zig 1 is my go-to running shoe.
Okay.
And to be honest, those are the 2 pairs of shoes that I live in outside of the office. You know, like train on a Saturday morning, I stay in my training gear all day, and if I run on a Sunday, I'm in my running gear all day. That's kind of
that's how it works.
That's how it is.
Yeah, it's great.
And I have to whip out the classics for the Monday to Friday, and for my day job.
Yeah.
But I've literally got maybe 3 or 4 pairs of shoes that I wear consistently, and I've got a cupboard full of shoes, but I've got these 4 pairs that I wear.
That's it. That's what you wear. That's what you.
And my team always joke with me that I'll wear the same pair of shoes like for 3 weeks straight to the office because I just find them comfortable, and I'll mix it up with whatever apparel I have to mix it up with. But I'm very simple when it comes to my shoes. Yeah.
Awesome. I think that's say something. Nano Pro. That sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's a pity we didn't land it for this year, but it's definitely something that's not going to go away, and will be probably revealed to the public next year sometime, 26. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Exciting stuff. And some plans for later in the year. What's Reebok doing? Anything?
Sure.
Anything big coming?
Yeah, there's lots of things in the pipeline. We've been fortunate to have great partners, not just in the training space or the sports space, but also in the lifestyle space. So we've also been quite fortunate from the point of view that Global are investing in these partnerships. So things like the AKA sneaker we re-released last year, November. We've got a collaboration coming with Youngster CPT. Second half of next year, there's things in the pipeline with House of Mandela, as well as Nadia Nakai, all tying back to celebrating South African culture and exporting it, and creating some product to support those things as well. So we're fortunate to have got good support from the global team in terms of our local marketing initiatives or partnerships. So that always helps because localization is critical to connecting with consumers locally. So we're fortunate that we get that level of support and that agility to localize what Global are doing and make it more relevant for South Africans or for Africans. So
an uptake of those things internationally.
We got calls from London, New York, Africa, South America, China for the AKA sneaker. People reaching out to us, and probably expats, but yeah, there's definitely more of a awareness around South African culture and what we're doing here, and more of an interest in what we're doing here from a Reebok perspective, from some of the other markets as well. There was something I wanted to say to you now and I forgot. It'll come back to me. Oh, no, I was going to say in the training space. Obviously, we've got Coachella at the end of the year. That's something we'll continue to do with the guys from Whiteley Crew. But yeah, we're looking at other training properties as well up north for 2026. You might have something for me there. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. We're talking, and let's see what we can put together. But that's some exciting stuff.
Yeah.
I think Coachella's cool, and that is like the event that Reebok kind of made a comeback into the
Yeah.
the functional fitness, I want to say, event space
Yeah.
with.
Correct.
And that's a unique event. The idea behind getting behind that. I know you guys do a lot of stuff with Motley and Ty.
Yeah. Yeah, so that partnership again, I think it's for as long as I've been with Reebok, we've been with Motley. And it's been a fantastic partnership in the training in the functional fitness space. And for me, when Ty and Stevie came to us with the concept, it was almost a no-brainer, just based on the strength of the partnership and the great work we've done together in the past and the understanding of each other's brands and what's expected. So it was almost a no-brainer for us. And we're that irreverent sports culture brand, meaning, you know, we do things that are a little bit off the cuff, a little bit like raising the eyebrows, but in a good way, you know. So we're always looking for ways that's a bit disruptive and challenging the status quo. So that Coachella angle for us was an easy fit. Also, you know, great time of the year in Cape Town, beautiful location, the vibes are there, people are in a party mood, but you know, also still health conscious and keen to stay fit and healthy while having a good time. So for us, it was an easy fit.
Yeah, and I think it works well, and the brands fit together well.
Yeah.
And I think Ty and Stevie have done a really good
Yeah.
job with that event, because it's very out the box, very different.
Yeah.
It's a headache for us because there's a lot of people on the floor, and it's
Yeah.
men and women and scaled and RX
No.
but it's really such a cool vibe. The C's just released dates for
is he?
Yeah,
Okay.
For December. It's moving it to 3 days, I see. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be good.
Okay, sure. More money.
Well, I don't know. I always think with events, I'm like, you're not making any money now. You're doing an extra day to make less money. But I think it's going to be exciting, and I think it's good that Reebok are back there and pushing there and supporting the local community.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what the South African community has lacked.
Yeah.
The past few years, if we go back to CrossFit and the No Bull partnership, and you know, Waterpalooza and the Tier partnership, and all of these partnerships, there's no local support, even as far as running the semi-finals and the sanctionals and those sort of events. The big brands are sponsoring the event, but there's no local support.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool to see Reebok back there and starting to do that, and it allows the community to partake and support the brands that are supporting them.
Yeah.
You know, you feel part of it, because you can pop down to Rebel store and buy a pair of X5s.
Yeah.
You know, it's the product's available because you guys are bringing it in and working with the community to make it happen.
Yeah, as I said earlier, it's been the partnership has been very important for Reebok, and we acknowledge that globally. We acknowledge it obviously locally, but in other markets too. We've almost built each other's credibility in the space together, you know, and leveraged off each other. So we continue to engage the community. We continue to create product for the community and experiences for the community. So it was a natural fit, and we can only build on what we've done in the first two iterations of Coachella, take the learnings and make it bigger and better in year 3 and beyond.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, exciting times.
Yeah.
We look forward to seeing some more nanos, and definitely the Nano Pro.
Yeah. You're an 8, huh?
Yeah, I'm an 8.
Okay, I must give you the other sample.
Yes, maybe I'll perform better in the Open this year.
Yeah. Don't tell anyone that's got a plate in this.
Cool. So, Peach, before we end, a bit of a shoe dog here. So let's talk shoes. Like, are we? You know, I think a lot of people underestimate the value of being in the correct footwear for the correct application, in terms of being able to perform better and move better and not get injured.
Yeah.
All of these things are important. I think we see it a lot of people taking up CrossFit or functional fitness or doing something new, and they rolling in with their like 19-foot sack Nike Pegasus or their like Essex, and you know, then they're going to try and lift weights and move, and we underestimate how important it is to wear the right footwear for application in terms of performance.
Yeah.
So let's go through like, I think maybe if we start on the like top end of the spectrum. So if we're talking Olympic weightlifting and that sort of thing, what are we looking at?
Yeah, I mean, it's the legacy lifter. That's the baby there. And I think it's interesting because we kind of take it for granted that, like, because we're in the space. So when we go lifting, we wear lifters. When we go running, we wear running shoes. But there's a big education piece to be done for consumers, even in the CrossFit space.
100%.
Far too many people lifting in running shoes.
Yes.
And the right shoes really do make a huge difference in your performance. And also just energy efficiency as well. So if you're lifting, legacy lifters all the way.
And then, I mean, we go to like everyday functional fitness workouts. I mean, it's the new, like we talk about hybrid, high rocks, CrossFit, all of those sort of sports fit into a category of functional training, and a lot of that stuff's going to be done in the gym, doing a multitude of things. Lifting, some strength training, some functional plyometric movements.
I'm going to pull these two because I think, they both can deliver in those spaces. We'll maybe talk a little about the nano gym. This is kind of more for that versatile gym bunny who's doing some running on the treadmill, maybe running a 5K, but also doing some functional training, doing some weight training, doing some studio training. It's just an all-around great versatile shoe, and it looks great as well. So you can definitely wear it around the bri or the jaw as well, with a cool pair of shorts or cargo pants. But that's kind of our most versatile functional training shoe. And then the nano as well, again, it delivers in all of those spaces. Again, probably better for lifting than the nano gym because of the dual density footbed, more supportive in the heel. But this is your CrossFit shoe and your functional training shoe, first and foremost. But you could probably run a 5K in here quite comfortably, and obviously do your treadmill running and short sprints as well.
Yeah, I think it's like, it's really important to know that's available, and I think being able to move between those two spaces is really important. So, you know, for me, I'm doing everything in that right now, 90% of stuff, and it's got the rope tech and the rope pro and all of those wonderful things, which is great. But when I'm doing my more hybrid sessions, when I'm training for a high rocks or something like that, then you've got the gym. So if you've got some more running and that sort of thing, you've got the ability to fit into something a bit more comfortable for what you're doing.
Exactly.
And then paddle, I think, is the new that's the new buzzword. I think for physios a lot, it's like they claim it's the new CrossFit because, you know,
is that where they're making their money now?
The paddle court, and I think tennis elbow, like a lot of people jumping onto the paddle court, so we don't move as well as we used to 20 years ago. But I mean, I think having a purpose-built shoe really does make a difference.
This surprised us. We were cautious with the launch, and in retrospect, we should have bought more stock. But it was the first season, so we were cautious. And sell-through, as I said earlier, best performing launch so far in terms of sell-through percentage. Great for paddle, great for tennis. My daughter plays netball in this as well.
Okay.
And she absolutely loves it. Very stable, great grip. What's this called? Kryptonite is the technology. It's also got your float foam in it as well, so responsive, and resoundingly good feedback around this model. And quite excited to see what comes in the next few seasons.
Yeah, I think like really comfortable. It's got like kind of that inner sock, so it fits snug. You feel secure in that in that shoe, and that's kind of like am I right in saying that was the first sort of move back to sport?
Yes, correct. That
was like onto the court.
That was our first sort of real product expression of the move back into sports.
Say the name.
Nano Court. We didn't say it.
Not
Yes, sorry.
And then we all do a bit of running.
Yeah.
Your go-to running shoe?
This is the Float Zig. This is the Float Zig 2. Hasn't been released yet. Will be released in the second half of this year. But we launched Float Zig last year in March, I think it was. And it's combining two of Reebok's best cushioning technologies or footbeds. It's the Float or the Zig technology, the forward propulsion technology. And then your Float Foam, which is just a blown EVA and a very responsive and cushioned footbed. So yeah, very exciting. We won a Runners World Award last year as well. This is the Float Zig 2. And again, a great everyday runner, but you can run a marathon in it, you can run an ultra marathon in it. Super responsive, literally feels like you are being propelled forward. Kid you not, and the energy return also on the foam is really, really good. And again, it looks cool.
Yeah, it does. That's a really good looking running shoe.
Yeah.
And like for the everyday runner,
perfect.
That's it.
Perfect.
It's neutral,
it's
natural.
It's neutral. We've got another iteration called the Float Zig Symmetros, which is a little bit more supportive in the instep. If you do have slightly funny or flat feet, but if you've got normal arches, I would recommend the Float Zig 2 or the 1. It's the shoe that I go to, and honestly, I can't fault it. It's super lightweight as well, breathable, and as I say, very responsive in the cushioning, which is great.
Awesome. And then something we often don't talk about, like we touched on a little bit with the Zero, but like foot health and recovery, like, you know, what have you guys got in that category?
I mean, it's the Zero, so I think the jury's still out on how it's going to perform in the marketplace. But I think my question is, what's taken Reebok so long? You know what I mean?
Yes, I agree. Like I think it's been around, and it's been.
Yeah.
I think it came, and it was really massive, and everyone kind of went, oh well, it's a trend, and it disappeared. But I mean, the evidence is the evidence,
exactly.
And like being barefoot is good for your feet. Your feet need to work, and
100%.
you know, and being in a flat shoe allows that without the added support to perform, probably.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I'm very keen to see how it's going to perform. It's got all the nano credibility and technology. Let's see. But yeah, that would be your go-to sort of barefoot trainer, or at least Reebok's offering in that space.
And then you've got a slide there. Something a little different that we don't.
The recovery slide with DMX technology, which is dynamic air cushioning. So before Air, Nike Air, it was DMX.
Okay.
And it's an air bladder within the footbed, and the air moves around to your movement or adjusts to your movement, providing additional support and cushioning. So after you've hit your PB in any one of these beauties and you need a comfortable space for your feet to live, this is just like walking on air, essentially. Also sharp price point at 999. I think is a lot of value for a recovery slide in this. And again, one of those models, a new model from Reebok, but with an immediately good response because it's got all the tech
Yes.
that supports a recovery slide. So yeah, also looks cool.
Yeah, I mean, really nice.
Fashionable,
And I
yeah.
think, like, as technology moves on, I mean, I think, and that's one of the big things is all of the footwear technology and stuff like that. But, you know, humans are slowly catching up and realizing how important recovery and those sort of things are. So
Yeah.
it's really great to see that you guys are bringing that to the party
Yeah.
to help with that.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, cool. Thanks for that. I think it's good to know, and it's good for everyone to know what you should be in. I think
Yeah.
often we imagine that everyone comes from the old school and the OG days of the Reebok Nano, and you
Yeah.
just knew that, like, I think before you signed up for, like, to join a CrossFit box in the mid 2000s, you had to go to the Reebok shop and buy
first,
like your
yeah.
kit first. You couldn't go to
Yeah.
CrossFit without a pair of Nanos on.
Yeah.
So it's good that we're educating everyone and you letting them know that this is where it comes from, and it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
it's not because it was just cool. It's because the technology was in there and
100%.
the work's been done, and this is purpose built footwear for what you need.
Yeah.
And I think with the surge of hybrid training and high rocks, and I mean, Johannesburg's got 4,000 people training. It's important that we open this up to the market and we're letting them know about what the best footwear to put on your feet is.
Yeah. Agreed, and for us, we've got a job to do to educate, and partners like yourselves can also help us in that space to educate people on what the right product and gear is for various sporting categories. There's a big job for us to do in that space. And within each of these franchises, we do have some price tiering. You know, there are offers at a more accessible or affordable price point. So, for example, the Nano, if 2899 is too rich for you, you know, there's a Nano Flex offering with a lot of the same technology and functionality as the Nano X5 for you to kind of get into experience it. If forking out 2899 off the bat is and it's understandable is too much for you, there are iterations of all of these products that deliver very similar functionality at sharper price points. But yes, we've got an education job to do as brands on making sure that consumers understand what the right gear is for various sporting codes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're training and you're doing a lot of stuff, you can't just have my one shoe. You've got to have a bag full of kit, and you've got to be driving in the right direction. In the old days when I used to do a lot of trail running, I used to rock up to a race with like a bag of shoes, and everyone was like, "Why do you have a bag of shoes?" I'm like, "Well, what if the conditions change?" And it was like, it's like really, really random. But if it's rainy, we should be wearing this footwear, and if it's not, we should be wearing that. And it's exactly the same as stepping into the box.
Yeah, we spoiled though.
We are spoiled, yes. I do agree. It is nice to work so closely with some great brands.
Yeah.
But thank you for your time.
That's a pleasure. Thanks for
coming. It's been awesome chatting to you.
Yeah.
And we'll do this more often.
100%. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter.